and honestly about his capacity. The debate performance was really bad.
He might still win this election. In fact, he still might be the favorite to win this election if he stays in. But his campaign was hoping that the debate would put the concerns about his health to rest.
And so just like Biden has negatives, Kamala Harris also has negatives.
So this is a somewhat unique situation. We have not had a president before who has had a moment that revealed such apparent frailty and health difficulties in a debate.
The one thing with Kamala Harris that I think makes her a little bit more electable than Biden right now is if you look at the polling, there's more independents who are undecided about her. So she can persuade people.
If I were running Joe Biden's campaign, I would want him to be out in front of crowds every day, proving that he is as healthy and vigorous.
A week after US President Joe Biden's shaky debate performance, concerns continue to grow about whether he is fit to run in the 2024 election. The Democratic governors of New York, Minnesota, and Maryland on July 3rd said that they would support Biden's re-election bid after a candid discussion with him about his performance in the debate. The meeting was attended by Vice President Kamala Harris, 24 Democratic governors, and the mayor of Washington, D.C. Professor of Political Science at the University of Southern California, Christian Gross, told Reuters on Wednesday that at the meeting, Biden was trying to assuage concerns that governors and a bunch of elected officials have about his capacity.
Biden is trying to assuage concerns that governors and a bunch of elected officials have about his performance and honestly about his capacity. The debate performance was really bad for Biden. But then I think the question is, can he convince other Democrats? Can he convince governors? Can he convince members of Congress that he is able to keep going and will actually be a strong candidate? And then I think separately from the candidacy part, is he doing okay as president? Right? Like, is he doing okay? And so this meeting, I think, is supposed to help with that.
Meanwhile, Professor of History and Public Affairs at the University of Texas in Austin, Jeremiah Suri, said that though Biden isn't toast, his campaign should put him in front of crowds looking healthy and vigorous.
No, I don't think he's toast. Campaigns go through cycle after cycle, and they're incredibly unpredictable. They always have been, and even more so now in a world with social media, in a world filled with so many incidents day after day, and then when your opponent is Donald Trump, who knows? Who knows what other videotapes are going to arrive about Donald Trump and what other relationships? So there are just too many variables. But what I do think is not going to go away are the questions about Joe Biden's health. He might still win this election. In fact, he still might be the favorite to win this election if he stays in. But his campaign was hoping that the debate would put the concerns about his health to rest. Those concerns about his health will not go to rest. They will be with us if he stays in the campaign every day of the campaign.
Suri also said that Biden's campaign was counting on the debate to put the concern about his health to rest, but the opposite happened on June 27.
Well, we have only had presidential debates on television since 1960, and in many cases, we did not have many of them. So this is a somewhat unique situation. We have not had a president before who has had a moment that revealed such apparent frailty and health difficulties in a debate. If I were running Joe Biden's campaign, I would want him to be out in front of crowds every day, proving that he is as healthy and vigorous. If it's possible, what the Democrats need to do before and during and after the convention is show the most vigorous Joe Biden possible. I'm just not sure they can do that, right?
Concerns about Biden's age and mental acuity exploded after Thursday's debate with Republican candidate Donald Trump, in which the president mumbled under his breath, lost his train of thought at times, and at one point talked about beating Medicare.
What Donald Trump would want to do, it seems to me, is not only to show vigor, but to show reasonableness. to make it so it's not a liar versus a feeble old man, but maybe a feeble old man versus a reasonable candidate. But I'm not sure Donald Trump can do that. I mean, the striking thing about the debate was as difficult as it was to watch Joe Biden, it was equally difficult to watch Donald Trump when every word that came out of his mouth was a lie. I think these two men are who they are, and I think the real question for the Democratic Party is who Biden is. Is that something they can still build a campaign around, or are they more comfortable building a campaign around someone else?
The president has said that he was tired after 2 foreign trips, and the White House has said he had a cold. Biden has vowed to stay in the 2024 presidential race during calls with campaign staff and meeting with Democratic lawmakers and governors on Wednesday, as he sought to shake off calls for him to drop out after his shaky debate performance.
I do think that, assuming Biden does decide to go forward, him doing more appearances with Kamala Harris, joint appearances with Kamala Harris, thinking about the team would be helpful because people who watched the debate or heard about the debate now have more questions potential about capacity, right? And how long might Biden may live for decades, right? Like Jimmy Carter, or, something might happen to him where he's incapacitated and the vice president would take over.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris has gained support as his potential replacement.
And so just like Biden has negatives, Kamala Harris also has negatives. And I think if you look at some polling on some of the other alternatives that have been mentioned, Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, they have less negatives, but they're less known. And so I think anybody who would become the Democratic nominee, whether it's Kamala Harris or one of the other ones, would immediately get a lot more negative ratings, just because those on the Republican side are going to immediately react. The one thing with Kamala Harris that I think makes her a little bit more electable than Biden right now is if you look at the polling, there's more independents who are undecided about her. So she can persuade people in a way that Biden maybe can't persuade people to move. I do think the presence of Robert Kennedy Jr., Cornel West, libertarian candidates, other third party candidates could be pretty meaningful. And those candidates might only get 5-6% of the vote. But the question would become, does somebody who would hold their nose and vote for Trump actually go vote for Robert Kennedy Jr.? Then Biden might win, right? Does somebody who wants to, hold their nose and vote for Biden, but actually then goes and votes for Jill Stein or Cornel West or whoever? I really think those handful, 3, 5, 10 percentage points of third party candidates could actually swing the outcome. And I would guess the winner of the Electoral College in a Biden Trump contest is not going to get 50% of the vote in most of the swing states. And so that makes the mobilization of your core supporters even more important.